Our story begins in the green, lush landscapes of Sangreum, where on a balmy July day in 1961, Diana Frances Spencer came into the world. Born at Park House, she was the youngest of four, growing up in a world where the future king and queen were her childhood playmates. Imagine, if you will, a young Diana, not knowing the weight her name would carry, playing tag with royalty, her laughter echoing through the halls of history. But let's not paint too rosy of a picture. Life for Diana was no fairy tale from the start. At the tender age of 7, her parents' marriage dissolved, sending her on an emotional journey that would define her empathy. Picture this: a young girl navigating the labyrinth of family estates, finding solace in the stables with horses, her true friends in this aristocratic world. It was here, among these creatures, she learned the art of listening, of understanding, of caring, qualities that would later define her reign in the hearts of millions. Fast forward to her teenage years, Diana's dreams were not of crowns, but of ballet shoes. She danced with the grace of a swan, aspiring for a life on stage, until she hit a growth spurt that saw her outgrow her ballet slippers in more ways than one. But what's life without a change of plans? From ballet to boarding school, from nanny in London to a kindergarten teacher, Diana was crafting her own narrative, one far removed from the regal life she was born into. Yet fate, with its twisted sense of humor, had other plans. Enter Prince Charles. The story of Prince Charming, or so the world thought. Their meeting was more accidental romance than royal decree. It involved her sister, a bit of matchmaking, and a courtship that had the world watching. Their wedding in 1981 was a spectacle for the century, a dress so long it seemed to stretch into the pages of history, a ceremony watched by 750 million people worldwide. But behind the smiles and the waves, there was a story of a young woman stepping into a role that she was perhaps never fully prepared for. What catapulted Diana into the stratosphere of admiration wasn't her title, but her heart. She changed the face of royalty by touching the lives of those society often overlooked. Picture Diana, without gloves, shaking hands with an AIDS patient, a gesture so simple, yet revolutionary for its time. She walked through the minefields of Angola, not just to highlight the issue, but to literally step where others feared to tread. She embraced the homeless, the sick, the dying, showing the world that a princess's touch could heal more than just a nation, but the human spirit. She was the royal who wore compassion as her crown. But beneath this public persona was a woman grappling with a marriage fraught with challenges. The pressures of public scrutiny and the isolation that came from being the most famous woman in the world. Her struggles with bulimia, her candid interviews where she spoke of 3 of us in this marriage, painted a picture of a woman not just regal, but real. Diana's honesty about her own battles made her relatable, turning her from a distant figure on stamps to someone whose pain and joy people felt in their own lives. From the start, Diana's life was marked by love, but also by heartache. Her relationship with Prince Charles initially seemed as a fairy tale, but was more complex than the public knew. Their courtship was swift, with an engaging announcement after only 13 meetings, but beneath the surface, there were cracks. Charles, still in love with Camilla Parker Bowles, left Diana feeling isolated in her new royal role. Their wedding on July 29, 1981 was watched by millions, but the fairy tale wedding had a narrative of struggle. Diana, the young bride, was thrust into a world of protocol and public scrutiny, while Charles continued his relationship with Camilla. The birth of their sons, William and Harry, brought joy, but the marriage was stained by Charles' infidelity and Diana's own battles with bulimia and loneliness. Over time, the cracks began to chasm. Diana's public confessions of her husband's affair, her own admitted indiscretions, and her struggle with mental health issues painted a picture far removed from the perfect royal family image. By the early 90s, the marriage was publicly acknowledged as irreparable. The separation was announced in 1992, and after years of media frenzy, the personal pain in their divorce finalized in 1996. Post-divorce, Diana was free to redefine herself. She lost the title Her Royal Highness, but gained the world's admiration for her work. She moved into a flat in Kensington Palace, began dating, and continued her charity work with even more passion. Her relationship with Dodi Fade became one of the most talked about aspects of her life after the divorce. But freedom came with its own set of challenges. Relentless media scrutiny concerns, and the struggle to balance personal happiness with her public role. Now let's talk about those fateful days in August 1997. Diana, seeking a respite from the British media, was in Paris with Dodi Fade. They stayed at the Ritz Hotel, where the paparazzi's presence was suffocating. On the 30th, after dinner at the hotel, they decided to leave through the back exit to escape the cameras, a decision that would change history. They were driven by Henry Paul, the acting head of security at the Ritz, who had been drinking. That night, the plan was to throw off the paparazzi by switching cars, but the media frenzy was unyielding. As they drove towards Dodi's apartment, the paparazzi followed relentlessly. The car, a black Mercedes, entered the Pointe d'Alma tunnel at high speed, attempting to outrun the photographers. Inside the tunnel, tragedy struck. The car crashed into a pillar, flipping and crumpling upon impact. The scene was chaotic. Emergency services arrived, but for Diana, it was too late. She was critically injured, suffering from internal injuries. And despite efforts at the hospital, she passed away hours later. The world mourned, but questions began immediately. Was it just a tragic accident? Or was there more to the story? The paparazzi were blamed for the chase. Henry Paul's blood alcohol level was well above the legal limit, and conspiracy theories about the cover-up, or even assassination, started to circulate. The official inquiry concluded it was just an accident, but the public suspicion never fully subsided. Theories ranged from MI6 involvement to royal family disapproval of Diana's new life, to staged events to prevent sensitive information from coming to light. The truth, like Diana's life, remains a subject of debate, speculation, and the endless fascination. Diana's legacy is not just in her tragic end, but in her life's work, her impact on the monarchy, and her influence on how we see public figures. She was more than a princess. She was a symbol of change, of empathy, and of the human heart capacity to touch lives across the globe. Her story teaches us about love's complexities, the price of fame, and the power of one individual to ignite change. Diana lived, loved, and left a legacy that continues to inspire, challenge, and captivate the world. So what's the moral of this tale? Perhaps that even in tragedy, there's a narrative of hope, of love, and of the indomitable human spirit. In the tapestry of history, Diana's thread is vibrant, complex, and endlessly compelling. If you journeyed with me through this epic tale of Diana, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Who knows? Maybe next time we'll delve deep into the mysteries of other royal tales, or perhaps the secrets of royalty times. Until then, keep your tiaras polished and your minds open.